Shalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. I bow down to that Guru who makes me realize the infinity which is pervading the entire universe. So with this prostration to my Guru, a very good morning to every one of you. Today is the last day of our retreat, and on this occasion I have been asked to speak on the value of solitude. Actually, we experienced some part of solitude in this retreat because one of the salient points of the retreat is to maintain silence. So, we all must have taken all efforts to maintain silence, and many of us have succeeded also in keeping silent. And these 2 days deliberations, we found out that the silence is external, though it was not possible in other ways unless you have joined a retreat. So even though it's an external silence, but how far we went to find out our internal silence. So there are lots of opportunities here, especially in the meditation sessions that we had plenty, and to go inside, as well as to go around in this campus, the vast campus, with lots of flora and fauna. So you can see the water element, the wind element, and the sun and the plants. So beautiful things, we could see that. So that silence that we are respecting is possible when you are in solitude. Actually, the solitude words, the word itself, come from a Latin word solos. Solos means single or alone. That's why you say, a solo performance by an artist. We call it solo performance. Means all alone he does. He doesn't have any accompaniments. So solo, a solo artist we say. So the solo word comes from that. But the solitude one can have, or the being alone, the situation, such a situation, can be had on 2 occasions. One type of occasion is forced one. Like you find in concentration camps, etc., we read in the history that a person is kept in one small cell, all alone, for several years. When you come here, when you come down from our stairs, the right side you find a picture of Nelson Mandela. For 27 years, he was confined to a single cell. He could not talk to anybody. He could not meet anybody. Such was the confinement imposed on him. So, this type of forceful confinement into a small place where you are all alone. That type of certain solitudes are also there. And there is another type of being alone, that is when you yourself choose to be alone. So there's a big difference between these two. So when I am forced to be alone, then that loneliness may not be relishable. You may not relish it. You may not like it. But if you choose to be alone, then you may like it. So this choosing to be alone involves an attitude to be alone. That's why it's called solitude. solos plus attitude is called solitude. So you have an attitude to be solo, that is single or alone. But if you are forced, that is not solitude. That's why you find this solitude has been observed particularly, not the forced one I am telling, the chosen one is observed by almost all the religious leaders. In Jesus' life we read just after his getting from John the baptism, 46 days he was in solitude. And even in Muhammad's life we see that he went to a Mount Serena and then stayed there for a few months of being alone. And in Buddha's life also we find Buddha went loneliness to a jungle and he practiced penances. And in almost all the places, in Swami Vivekananda we find he went on 2 years of wandering all over India and many times remaining not known where he is. Nobody could know also where he is. He completely cut off relationship with everyone and went into solitude. So going into solitude on your own has got lots of benefits. And some people, when they are compelled, that they utilize it for their good. For instance, Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, he was put in jail in a confinement of a single cell. And he sat there. So he asked his British masters, can you give me a few blank pages? So they gave some paper to him and a pen. And he wrote a beautiful book called The Discovery of India. If you want to know in short about the India's greatness, you can read that book. It's called The Discovery of India, written by Jawaharlal Nehru. So you are all alone. It was a forced confinement. It should have been a disastrous consequences for anybody else. But then he converted it into good things. Like Nelson Mandela also, he was also having forced confinement for 27 years. Can you imagine? And outside his cell, there was a small plot of garden. He would come out and work in the garden. He said, I used to speak to the grass, speak to the tree there. That's all. Because nobody else was there. So you can see that forced confinement also can be transformed for your benefit. But when you choose to have a solitude situation, that is the best. So the solitude has been very much recommended by Sri Ramakrishna. You know, there is a book, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Some of you might have heard also. Some of you might have read it. So in that book, Sri Ramakrishna emphasizes going into solitude in between, he says. So in between, that means the whole year, if you plan it, and at least keep 10 days or 5 days. He says 1 month. Then the disciple says 1 month is a too long period. Then he says 3 days. Okay, 3 days can't you do? So no, that is also difficult. Then he says 1 day. Then he comes down like that. And then he finally says, Mone bone kone. He says, okay, even 1 day you cannot do. At least you can do in your bedroom. When you put on the mosquito net, because in Calcutta I know a lot of mosquitoes are there. So you always use mosquito net there. In this country you don't need mosquitoes net. But you put the mosquito net and sit there. A few hours or a few minutes, that is also you can do, being lonely. But then what the purpose is, that we must desire to be lonely. Otherwise, the solitude does not give you pleasure. If you don't desire, like us, no, we are not great political leaders or anybody like that. Somebody will catch us and put us in confinement. But so here we are all normal people. So we have got full freedom to move around. And along with that, why can't we choose? We choose many things. We choose our dresses, we choose our food, we choose many things in our life. It's not that everything has been destined like that. We have got some freedom, and that freedom we choose many things. Even to come and attend this retreat, we all have chosen to come. That's why we are here. So, in that way, we can choose to be in solitude. And when you choose, I tell you, the benefits are extraordinary. Only after undergoing the solitude, staying alone, you will understand that. So if you have got a single room and if you are quite alone there, then it gives an opportunity for us to go inside much deeper than even meditation time. In meditation time, you are sitting with many people and you are aware of many other things also. Somebody is coughing, somebody is changing the seat, somebody is taking out the coat. All these sounds, etc. is coming at that time. But when you are alone in your room, you are not doing anything. Just sit on your bed and then quietly see there. Nothing, no sound at all. Of course, this place is very beautiful because no external sound also is coming. Yesterday night, about 2 o'clock, I got up and then I sat for meditation. I just opened all the screen and the light was there outside, the road lights were there, that's all. And it was so quiet. Not a chirping of birds or anything. It was absolute quietness. You can understand that. Some people are afraid of being alone. Not because that they think of extraterrestrial beings or something like that, but what they sometimes they feel that, what I am going to do being alone? To get yourself removed from your own known circle of relations and friends, etc., itself is becoming a big punishment for many people. And to go alone like that is very difficult. So, under these circumstances, when you have chosen to be alone, it gives us an opportunity to go much deeper into the recesses of our mind. So we are able to know exactly what is what. Why we are afraid to be alone? The psychologists say that we are afraid to be alone because we are afraid to face the reality which is in us. What is the reality in us? There are certain prejudices, there are certain aversions, there are certain anxieties, and so many things are there inside, and they all will come up when you are alone. And I don't want to face them. Suppose I am a failure in one part of my life. That will come and haunt me at the time. And that I am unable to face it. So I want to forget it. How do I forget? By putting my mind in other activities, taking the mind out from that. So many people, they say that we tried to be in solitude and we could not stand that. One gentleman used to be coming to our Kanpur center. So he used to come. He's a good devotee. He used to attend all the celebrations, etc. And he would donate also to our art center. That is also a great support, for the center. He would give donations. So he used to do that. One day he was telling us, Swami, we would like to come. I would like to come and stay for 3 days, completely cut off from all family ties. So we encouraged that. Okay, that's wonderful. When are you coming? So we gave the room key and told him, come and see. Only when the bell goes for the last time, you come there. And during the Vesper service, you can attend. That's all we told. And the rest of the time is meant for you. You be there. Second day when he came for the breakfast, we asked, how did you spend your night? He said, yes, it was excellent. I enjoyed it, he said. Second day gone. Third day morning. Third day night also he is supposed to say. Fourth day he was to go. But third day morning he says, no, I can't stand this. He says, I have to go back. See, in spite of his own choosing, nobody compelled him to come and be alone. In spite of own choosing, he came. And then after about 6 or 7 years after I met him, in our headquarters, he came to Calcutta, I met him. So I remembered that. Then I asked him, Hey, on that day, on that time, only after 2 days you went away. What happened to you? And he said, there are certain anxieties I had. I actually tried to forget those anxieties in my day-to-day life. But then, the being alone in that room, sitting there, those anxieties took the form and they became so big, bhutakara. He says bhutakara. It manifested as a big thing. And I was afraid I couldn't stand that. Later on, when I read that psychology, then the psychologists say that yes, that is one of the reasons why people don't want to go to solitude. So if anybody has got such anxieties, etc., or the failures in the past life, all those things come and that may haunt him. So anyway, we take a normal spiritual aspect, we take that we do not have such problems, so we can enjoy the solitude. So going to solitude has been recommended by all the spiritual servants with the particular purpose of finding yourself. Where do you stand? At what stage you are there in the spiritual life? So that is a very good thinking inside. Now this solitude can be, they say, once you accomplish this expertise in being alone, say once in a year or twice in a year, at least for 1 day or 2 days like that, then another stage is there in solitude. They say, see, loneliness and being alone, there is a big difference. That's what the psychologists are telling you. So if you are feeling lonely, that means you are segregated, you are isolated, and that is really a curse. And people feel very lonely, they say. That in a celebration like an event, so where many people are there, say 100 people are there in our center, someone is sitting quietly. I thought he is quite happy to stay like that alone, but it's not alone. He has got certain problems in his mind and he feels lonely in spite of being crowded. In spite of staying in a crowd, he feels lonely. He is not getting the connection with others. So that is a really a curse. That is a problem we see, that how people suffer from that type of condition. But here, being alone, when you choose it and then stay there, that is simply a very rewarding experience it is. So, the stage, the second stage I was talking about to you, that can you become or can you feel alone? Can you understand that you are in solitude even though you are in the midst of a crowd? That is the higher stage of the solitude, where you find that it is not every time it happens, but sometime or other you may get the glimpse of that. That means even in a big crowd, say we are going past and sitting in a train, so many passengers are there. But even in that crowd, suddenly you can feel that you are alone. You can disconnect yourself from the external surroundings and you can go into your own inside. That is the second stage of after practicing solitude comes. So Gita, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna that one who withdraws himself completely from the external surroundings and be happy, and in the same way, when he is all alone also he is happy. That situation comes to a person who has got a steady mind, he says. A steady mind that doesn't waver with any other impetus, that or impulses, that steady mind will be fully happy, whatever situation it is. So whether crowd is there, whether he is all alone, it doesn't matter at all. And the silence the solitude brings is a great blessing, because in silence you can communicate. If you don't want, you can withdraw yourself. So how do you communicate in silence? We see in this Mother, Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, she went to Bangalore. She knew only Bengali language. She didn't know the South Indian language. So in India is like a mini Europe. You say, actually in area it is almost equal to Europe. But you find like Europe only, different countries with different languages. So when you go to Germany, if you do not know German, then you can't participate in the discussions. So likewise, in India, each province, or each, we call it state, each state has got its own language. So when Holy Mother went to Bangalore, it is a Karnataka state, where she was sitting there. And the devotees learned that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great sage, his consort is coming. So who is she? How does she look? So they all came. So a huge number of people came to meet her. And they are all seated in front of her. She is given a seat. She also sat. And she is looking at them. Couldn't talk. And she is just looking at them. And they are also looking at them. 1 hour passed. Simply staring at each other. And then Holy Mother got up. She came into her room. And they also got out. And then the Swami did not want to interfere. So Swami did not come there to translate or anything. So he was standing outside. So when the people came out, he asked, hey, I did not hear anybody speaking. All of you were sitting. What happened? Dumb. Then one fellow said, I had a question in my mind to ask this lady. And I asked the question, do you know what happened? The answer flashed in my mind. Then another lady says, I had a question, the same experience. Many of them had the same experience. That answer flashed in their mind. So I got the answer. And then later the same Swami Brahmananji was there. He went and asked Holy Mother, Ma, you are sitting there, but you didn't talk to anybody. Who said I didn't talk? Go and ask them. I answered everyone's problems, she said. Then he understood, oh, in silence also you can have a speech. You know, silence sometimes is very heavy. If Purnanand is very silent, devotees are afraid to go and ask him. Oh, he's so grave, he's so heavy. When you are silent, then it becomes heavy. But in silence you can communicate also. You don't need to talk. Sitting in one place, Swami Vivekananda says, sitting in Himalayan cave. You are there, you have just gone to cave, and you are sitting in the cave, and down below or in Ireland somebody is sick, and you got the news. And from there, you pray for that person. You send the thoughts of health. In yoga, we practice this. How to send the thoughts of health to another person, to healing. If you have read about something about healing, you can know. Without talking, without seeing, and the distance has got no meaning at all. All the distance are broken, and you can just send by thought waves to that person to heal. And he will feel energized at that time, and he will be thinking about you only at that time. Because the thought waves have been sent by you, and he will be made to think of you at that time. So different distance. Once one gentleman was sitting with me, and he was talking, and suddenly he was restless. So I said, you were nicely listening to me. Suddenly you have become restless. What is the matter? He said, no, something is telling me my son is in danger. I said, danger? Where is he? He is in New York. New York, what could be the danger in New York? I didn't know. And I asked him. He said, well, I cannot also know. But he is in danger. That's what I am feeling. And then within half an hour, we got the biggest news. The Twin Towers was destroyed. And his office is in the Twin Towers, his son's office. So he was feeling very nervous, tension, and he was telling me, my son's office is there, he must have gone there, and he must have been killed with another 600 people who died on the day. So he was terribly upset. And then next day only he got the news that the son was not in danger, he was all right. He went to his office by a common bus. The bus comes, office bus comes and picks up people. Like that it picked up, and one of the staff it delayed coming, so the bus was delayed, but when the bus reached at that time, the twin blast broke. So he was saved, however. But the impending danger that was coming to everyone there, that this man could feel, even sitting in India, sitting in Calcutta, he's feeling what is going to happen in New York. So, the distance has got no meaning at all in our communication. We can communicate silently. When one of our Swamis was 100 years old, his name was Bharat Maharaj, Swami Abhayananda. He's a great man. He was the manager of our headquarters for many years. And the great political leaders would come and bow down to him. He was such a great man. And he was the disciple of Holy Mother. And to him only Holy Mother came. He was in Mayavati, a place in the Himalayas. Swami Vivekananda's thought, people need some type of solitary stay. For that, for monks as well as for the devotees, he built an ashram in the Himalayas, which is called Mayavati. If you go to India, please, if you go to India, particularly in summertime, then the Mayavati is open. Winter it is closed because it is too cold and everywhere you see the snow. So it is not a very nice time at that time. But in summer if you go, it's very cool at that time. At the same time, there are many chalets are given. So people can choose and stay there. Say 1 week, 2 weeks like that, people stay and do spiritual practices there. So Swami Vivekananda built up that ashram to create an opportunity to be solitary in that place. So in that place, Swami Abhayanandaji was staying at that time. He was doing some penance. One night suddenly, he saw Holy Mother appearing before him. And she said, Tata, bye-bye. I am leaving, she said. He said, Mom, you are leaving? He said, yes, I am leaving this body, she said. And after 2 days, they got, because in those days, it was village, there was no telecommunication was not there. So 2 days after he got the telegram that Holy Mother has passed on. So when even passing away time, one can give that information, communicate to this person, you see. So the distance has got no meaning. If you are in solitary place and you are practicing meditation, you get the ability to communicate with anybody, to send your thoughts to anybody whom you want. You can test them. You send a thought to somebody, your own relations, nearest one, and later on you inquire, did you at this approximately this time, did you think about this point? They will say yes. You can see that. Normal people get this power. Though it is, I should not call it power, it is somewhat a capacity which you have opened it. A capacity is already there in us to communicate with everyone. With all the jivas we can communicate. Jivas means all the beings. With the birds, with the animals, we can communicate. In South Africa, I have seen a place where the elephants come. And the person was called the elephant whisperer. He used to talk to the elephants. And when he died, a herd of elephants came into his bungalow, which was in a jungle. And in that bungalow, they all came in front and they sat down. 3 days they sat down. His wife went and gave so many fruits to the elephants. They did not touch. About 36 elephants came. It became a history in the world. And that elephant whisperer, he used to talk to the elephants. What did he do? Did he use the sound of the elephant? No. When people used to ask him, how do you communicate to the elephant? You are standing here and he is telling, I am going to tell the elephant to sit down. And he looks at the elephant and the elephant sits down and gets up. on his command. So the person asked, how do you communicate? He said, I communicate at thought level. He said. Thought level, we all communicate, do you know? We all communicate with our pets. You are driving your car, about to reach your home. In the home, people can testify that how your pet dog becomes restless and it knows that you are arriving. Though you are not coming to the home, you are at a faraway place, just turning. On that road you are turning in. Your pet knows. Because you thought about the pet at that time, immediately it get communicated. So you can touch people with your thoughts. And this manifesting this wonderful talent that we have to communicate without words, that is very important to us, because our ideal is to go to that state where words fail. Words do not have any work at all. Beyond the words and beyond the thoughts behind the words, we are going to go to a state which is called samadhi. In samadhi, there are no words. In samadhi, there are no ideas, no thoughts, currents. So that is the state we are aspiring to reach that by our yoga process. So whatever yoga, whether it is Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga or Jnana Yoga, 4 types of paths Swami Vivekananda has given us. So any of the path you take, you are going to reach that place where thoughts are not going to be. So that is how this thing you are manifesting it. So these are considered as powers also. So Ramana Maharshi was there in Tiruvannamalai. Those who have gone to South India, they would have heard about him. He was a great Advaitic preacher. He said, know thyself. That is what is. Whoever comes and asks, he would say, do you know yourself? He said, no. Then go and know yourself, he would say. So that was the thing he used to teach. That Ramana Maharshi used to be simplicity. He would not even talk at all. When people go and sit before him, and then slowly they look at him. And some people say that you can communicate through eyes, you can communicate through touch, you can communicate through words, of course. Words is the best that we are all very easily understandable. We say through words. But one of our Swami in our order, Swami Gahananandji, he was the president of the Ramakrishna Mission and he passed away, of course, a few years back. So one person used to go to him and he said, Swamiji, I want to have mantra from you. Because he was president, he used to give mantra to people. So he said, I want to give mantra. He said, he was nurturing him like that. He was pestering him, asking him every time when he meets, I want to mantra. He said, okay, one day I will give you, don't worry, he said. And one day he was sitting and he looked at him. That was enough. After some days again he went and said, Swami, you said you will give me mantra, so you are not yet given. He said, did I not give you? On that day I gave you. He said, which day? Then he started remembering. Then he remembered that his wife, then standing next to him, is telling him, hey, on that day, last time when you came back home and you said, Swamiji looked at you, you felt a current going through your body. That is Diksha. Already you have been initiated. So even communication can be done by sight, by looking at it. Sri Ramakrishna has communicated the message of God to a few devotees like that, only by looking at him. So it is possible. And because the thought is highly powerful. And we think that body is powerful. No. Body is nothing compared to thought. Actually, thought makes the body. If you are very handsome or beautiful, that beautiful body, you got it because you wanted it. You willed it. That's why you got this handsome body. So, the thought can make the body. Thought is so powerful that it can reach others and it can heal others also. So we always say that whenever you hear about anybody suffering in this world, immediately whenever sit for meditation, pray for that person. Send your good holy thoughts to Him. And these things can be done when you are all alone. So solitude, getting solitude is very necessary. I think I don't want to go much heavy subjects. This will be enough for today. So I would like to have your feedback or discussion further on this subject, if you have any remarks or anything.
Swami, you mentioned solitude in midst of a crowd, right? So it's stage 2.
It is?
So you mentioned that in stage 2, the
Yes.
person can attain solitude
Yes.
in the midst of a crowd.
Yes.
So I know we've done a session here.
Correct.
How to bolster further and go to the next level?
Yes. See, the level that we have got here, both are there. Both, that means you are all alone in your room, that is there. Plus, with the 20 people also, you can be practicing solitude. So this is the small measure that we are giving you. But you can go to St. Patrick's Day if you go for the parade and you can see 1,000 people there. And you can be alone also there. So this practice, how can it come? Unless you practice in small number. That's why Purnanji has given us this opportunity to be with 20 people. So 20 people are there. We are not talking to each other in that way. But then we are with a group of people. So both type of practices have been offered to us. It is for us to exploit that opportunity and practice it. And later on, you can practice the solitude in your home. In your home, how many people are there? Maximum 3 or 4 people. So with that, with those people also you can practice. Your daughter will know that now father wants to be all alone. He doesn't want to be disturbed. She must know that. So then you see that you can practice that alone. Being alone, you can practice.
About the thoughts, and I'm trying to understand a bit how does it work with the person that sends the thoughts and the person that receives the thoughts. Because as you said that we send good thoughts and prayers, we can also get angry at someone and we send bad energy towards that person. I remember reading from Swami Vivekananda's book that when you do good deeds, you tune yourself to getting the good vibration, and when you do bad deeds, you tune yourself to getting the bad vibrations. How does it work, if you can say a bit about it?
Oh yes. You see, you are true, because if I can send healing thoughts to another person, if I can send good thoughts to another person, in the same manner, I can send bad thoughts also. Is it not? Because after all, they are all thoughts. Thought is nothing but a very, very subtle form of energy. That subtle form of energy is made into thought by a process, and in Vedanta we call it, there is no separation of you and me in this cosmos. In this entire cosmos, there is only one mind, and that mind is called cosmic mind. And your mind, my mind, that bird's mind, the tree's mind, whatever mind everything has got, that mind is part of that cosmic mind. So it's like a satellite. See, satellite is kept on the sky, and then it sends the beams of rays to different television sets. So in 10 houses, 10 television sets are receiving a program, but all coming from one satellite. So each house, this television to that television is not connected. It seems to be separate. So we all look separate because we have got a limited body, we are all looking separate. In effect, thought level, we are not separate at all. Because I and you are connected through the satellite, as the satellite, the waves are connected. Likewise, I and you are connected through the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind comes in yoga terminology. You can see that cosmic mind is talked about. Swami Vivekananda speaks in Raja Yoga. The cosmic mind is one entity, and that, whatever you call it, X, that one, we call it in Bhakti Yoga, we call it God, personal God. like Shiva, like Vishnu, like Krishna, Jesus, like that we can take in Bhakti Yoga. But in Jnana Yoga, we don't call it God, we call it Brahman. Or individual God that is inside me, that is called Atman. So this Atman and Brahman we call it. So now whatever terms you use, but the cosmic mind is one mind. And where we are all parts of that cosmic mind. So it is possible that one can send bad thoughts to another person. Now, as you are sending thoughts, say in this area, there are vibrations available around me. What kind of vibrations we expect? We expect good, holy vibrations. You don't expect bad vibrations here. So holy vibration you expect. So when you are thinking about here, coming here, and you derive the holy vibrations because you are temperamentally suited and willing to accept. But every place has got good and bad mixed only. So there may be bad vibrations lying somewhere around in the peripheral area. They are also trying to come into you. If you think like that, coming here, you expose your mind to bad thoughts. Those bad thoughts available, vibrations available outside this place, they will dash into you. So as conversely I am telling, as you can send your thoughts to other persons, you are able to receive thoughts from others also. So you must become susceptible to that. Are you susceptible? Bad thoughts may come and assault me, but if I am not susceptible, I can reject them. So you must become stronger. That's what we say.
So then it's easy to live with the bad thoughts around. For example, at work, if there are bad thoughts, how can we deal with it?
Yes. If the bad thoughts, what happens is, the bad thoughts have got some strength. So they can come and overwhelm you. That's why we say, before going to work field, in the home, you make yourself stronger by doing certain spiritual practice and then visit that place. Then what happens? Your mind is strong. See, anything can happen to you, anything can affect you when you allow it to happen to you. In medicine also, it's the diseases that we get, you allow the disease to come to you, not the disease comes and catches you. Because you make yourself weak. So when you yourself make weak, that microbes will come and catch you. See, many people sneeze. Some people, one person sneezing itself, he becomes so sick, he starts sneezing. But some people do not mind at all, they don't have problem at all with the other sneezing. Why? Because their body is fully equipped now, so fully positive. It doesn't affect. So you have to encourage yourself to become stronger so that the bad thoughts cannot come and assault you.
Is solitude the main aim is to evaluate ourselves?
Yes. Yes. Not exactly evaluation, to know ourselves. Yes.
What's happening whenever the mind is disconnecting and then comes back to connection again? Is that...
Disconnected with what?
Yeah, like, with loneliness, if you're going into loneliness,
Yes.
and come back out of that. What's happening within that? With the mind, you're talking there about finding that strength or being strong. So I'm just kind of wondering, trying to understand that.
Yes.
Within that.
So, I didn't understand the question yet.
It's like you're talking there about isolation and
Yes.
being lonely. So I'm just wondering what's happening in somebody's mind, when they lose that connection or when they disconnect. Because you're talking there about the thoughts coming up and arising.
So, you don't want to send the thoughts to them? Or
No, it's like your own thoughts at that time and how it's...
Yes, that is the
you can
process.
become stronger.
Yes, in the process of, in solitariness what happens, there is a process that I am trying to find out who I am, where do I stand, what are my thoughts. my own anxieties, my own fears, my own failures, all will now come in a bigger form and stand before me and stare at me. I am trying to get that power to face those things, which normally we repress. In psychology, the word used is repression. So mind is repressed. The thought doesn't go. You don't kill the thought. Though that figuratively we may use it, you are killing the thought. No thought can be killed. Every thought that has been thought out must stay till you are there. Only at the time of liberation, Vedanta says, the thoughts are burnt. So before that, all the thoughts will remain with you. So when it becomes a bigger size and you are trying to face it, face them. Face that, yes, these were my failures. I am very, very shy person. I don't talk to anybody. I feel very disadvantaged in the society. I cannot progress. Like that, if I know about myself. How do you know about yourself like that? When you are alone. When you are with others, you do not know. When you are alone, you say, today there was a chance to exhibit my talent, but I was so shy, I didn't go forward. I knew the answer, but I was tongue-tied. I could not say the answer. Like the people say, And these things, when you are alone, it will come and tell you, hey, why you did not say that? It was so easy for you to reply. But you knew the answer, but you didn't say. So like that, you try to know about yourself. And first step to tackle or overcome these disadvantages is to know myself, what disadvantage I have. So that being in solitude will help us.
Maharaj, if I may, there's a Nelson Mandela quote in the hall, and it struck a chord with me, and it was talking about living to your potential, and that it's a duty for us to do that.
Yes, and to share your gifts.
And not to be worried about if that you live your full potential, that others will feel insecure. Because if you don't live your full potential, you won't be the beacon that the others need you to be. So I would 100% identify with your question. That's why I say it. So I wonder, was that a relevant quote?
Would you like to say something?
Yeah.
You see, when modern go-getter types, there's a man called Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So he'll use these kinds of expressions about using your full potential, but means something different. What he'll mean is that, and we can describe it in this way, in the cell of the body, every cell of the body, the nucleus of the cell, there's deoxyribonucleic acid. It used to be thought that this contains something like 100,000 coded messages, and we're only using a few of them. So using your full potential means unfolding all of that. That's in the one sense. I always think of it this way, that it seems very, very similar to Kundalini, because it seems to be all coiled up, and you can unfold your potential. But if you talk about that Kundalini, then you're talking about something more than just the human personality and all that, more than just the surface. So you get some psychologists who say, oh, so you're suffering from a poor self-image, and you're not exploiting your full potential. So go in front of a mirror and say how nice you look. Of course, it may not be truthful, but still, you feel good. About what? About the physical body. But we have to get past the idea that the physical body is us, that we are possessive of it. In fact, that's our major obstacle. So to exploit your full potential in the proper way means unfolding this Kundalini. It's a yogic way of thinking of things, that there is so much energetic potential in you, and it has to be expressed in two ways. One, to explore and discover the ultimate potential in you, which we call Atma, the internal self. What religion says, kingdom of heaven within, the image and likeness of God. That's the one thing, and that is, all of us have to do that. That's our purpose, our destiny. The second thing is that within that context, we are players in a drama too, and we have to unfold our full potential in the sense that we have to, and Bhagavad Gita uses the term swadharma, our own personal design fit. Well, I tell children, you know what I always tell children, I repeat it here, and you can, for adults it's DNA, for children it's fingerprints. I get children to say, please look at your hands, do you have fingerprints? And all the children look, and sometimes they see it, sometimes they don't really. You do finger painting, you see what you see, ridges, yeah. Then they all look at each other and do high fives and all that, that's fine. They all have fingerprints. Happy to know that. Do you know those fingerprints were never seen before you were born? When you die, they'll never be seen again, and this is a mark of your individuality. Give yourself a round of applause. So they understand that within the context of what philosophy understands to be a divine play, there is a specific role that we have to explore and express in its fullness. Last night I told you that there's a design element in this. In that same way, each individual has a kind of design, a kind of holy purpose. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has a holy purpose to achieve. And when he declines it, then Krishna quite well adjusts it and says, no, you have to fulfill what you're destined to fulfill. You have to play out your individual role. Who else will do it? Who else has the skills that you have? All these skills and talents and abilities you have, these are God-given. You can look at it this way, and they have to be used. And if they're God-given, if you look at it in that way, then they have to be given back, because they don't belong to you. They're here on loan, if you like. Because dharma is the context. Dharma means, really, the thing that brings everything into rhythm and harmony, that kind of thing. Any event, intention, purpose that brings everything to harmony is really called dharma. And so to have this harmony, imagine now a jigsaw puzzle, and you have 2, 3 pieces missing here and there, or one piece somebody chewed a bit off, and something doesn't fit. So there is a natural fit. There is a reason why galaxies don't spontaneously crash into each other. They keep their distance. Things whirl around. There's a pattern, there's a law, there's a rhythm. And being part of that, that same applies to you. So there's a certain rhythm and poetry, a certain cosmic dance going on. And on this level, human level, it's the same thing. But within that, how do you now get to your main purpose in life? That is to really develop and discover and express this full potential that we call this fullness, that we call Atman. It is through your own situation where you find yourself here and now. That's why we say, you see, if you're a warrior, like Arjuna was, then what is your path? Through that. That's your starting point. If you're a housewife, through that starting point. If you're an accountant, through that starting point. And if you're a lawyer, you're in the wrong profession. No, if you're a lawyer, that's starting point. So wherever you find yourself now, that's the start of your journey. You can't say your journey began long ago. It's true, of course, but there's no point in reviewing that. Right now is where you find yourself in this second, subsequent seconds, what will you put in there, which is Yusra, and which will unfold your potential within. And in yogic language, that final unfoldment is described as Sushumna. And that Sushumna, I think, would equate to the Samadhi that's being spoken of. So there's a fullness, there's a full revelation where perfection alone is there, and we discover the truth of that peace prayer, Purnamada, Purnamidam, that everything is fullness. That's what we discover. It's already there.
The quote, this quote maybe is, who are you not to be great? I think to show you're great,
Yeah.
something like that. But when I hear that, what flashed to me was, many Irish people, particularly in the room, will remember there's a childhood message. I certainly heard it, received it, and internalized it as, who do you think you are? You think you're great. So once you stand up and do anything or excel, that's the message, to cut the legs from under you.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the counter thing should be, you are greater than what you think. And you see, every country that went through a conquest of some kind,
Yeah.
in Africa it happened to, in India it happened to, Ireland it happened to, you find the aftermath is a kind of inferiority complex.
Yeah.
You know, when I first came here, I was told, why Ireland? Why did you come to Ireland? As if Ireland was an inferior place. I used to tell people in Malawi, I used to go to Malawi and speak in various groups there. And there's an expression in Malawi and many other parts of Africa, you see, because things are substandard. You go to a place called Blantyre, and the roads feature many things called potholes. And on the way, if you go through Mozambique, there's a joke, you see, what has two horns and eyes and sits in the middle of the road? Answer, it's a giraffe in a pothole. That's how deep the potholes are. And tourists go from their hotel to the airport in an old bus, going through the potholes, and the tourists say, how quaint. And the response is, yeah, it's Africa. Shrug. You know that once we did this one. Shrug. So, it's Africa. So I said to them, I said, you know, there's a small island in this world with notoriously bad weather and absolutely overcrowded. And they have the goal to call it Great Britain. So think that you can do anything because you live in Africa. I can do everything because I'm Malawian. That's your thinking. And Swami Vimokshananda did exactly the same thing. See? His whole thing to his countrymen was, you know, stand up. You're greater than you think you are.
They have to feel it, but they have to feel it. I can relate.
Yeah.
I work a lot in America
Well,
and Canada with
yeah.
teenagers from here, but their parents are from here, and the lowest self-esteem in any group. And they were brought up with sayings, never rise too high, you won't have to fall. Find your corner and stay in it. You know, and that's
Don't raise your
it's
head
not
above
but
the
they have a low
parapet.
self-esteem, then they've higher anxiety, because they believe they can't deal with life's obstacles.
And you see how the colonial system introduces it as well, you see, because in Africa, as in many other parts of the world, the indigenous Africans there, it's impolite to look into another person's eyes. It's a sign of disrespect. And there you have it, all the school teachers say, look at me when I speak to you. Destroying that culture and shaking, making people feel insecure, essentially. So the greatest message Vedanta has is to say, along with the passage we read today, you know, water cannot wet you, you're immortal and so on, all these things. But the formula for strength is, I am the immortal Atman. Death will not reach me. The whole goal of all Upanishads is towards immortality. How can I be immortal? Of course the answer is, it's a beginner's question. Because we think that we are not immortal, we think we are mortal. But the final conclusion is, no, you're immortal. There was never a time when you were not. And so this is a great message of strength. This is really the only position of real strength that you can take.
There's an old saying, Swami, in order to be what you are, you have to come out of what you're not, which kind of reverses the thinking of the modern world. You have to achieve, you know what I mean? In fact, you have to go backwards, really.
Yeah. But the problem is that achievement and that mindset is associated with this phrase of exploiting your full potential, unfolding your full potential, all of that is there. So, unfortunately, very often what that means is be a go-getter achiever. That will create anxiety. I was at the Trinity College, you know, and there was some event. I had to speak at that event, and we had tea afterwards, fortunately. And so, in that environment, I said to one of the speakers there, I said, so what session are you presenting? Or he said, I'm in hall so-and-so, and I'll be presenting how to achieve your goals. And he said, and I just remarked, I said, that's very good. I said, I don't have any goals. Well, I have one central goal, but other than that, I have no other goals. Oh, he looked surprised and shocked. He thought that I should have goals. He said, you don't have goals? No, I find goals create anxiety. And he dwelt on that for a moment because it was against everything he'd ever been taught. Goals create, yes, because to achieve a goal you have to have a future orientation, and there's the possibility in your mind I may not achieve it, and that creates anxiety for you. Whereas I'm quite happy where I am. Thank you very much.
But Swami, I mean, let me take in context of like our retreat as such. The goal is to spread the word, but you're achieving it, right? You may not have stated it for anything future or your development, but that is a goal, and that you are achieving.
I'm not sure if we would think of it that way. I certainly didn't think of it that way in organizing this. I thought that there are people there, dressed up God is there in various different forms. It would be good if they discover their own full potential.
Yeah, but
that is their own divinity. So that's fine. I'm not anxious about it, actually. I have been anxious about the small bits. You know, will this work? Will that work? I hope everything goes smoothly. That kind of thing. Yeah. But you see, that was Friday. By Saturday, I thought, oh, everything is grand. Fantastic, brilliant. And today I'm feeling even more like that. And you'll feel, I think, we are preempting the subject a little bit, but I think you'll feel that when you depart from here, a little sadness will be there, is my experience with people. You wish that this weekend could last forever, apart from the yoga exercise.
There's so much of stress. I'm saying stretch, but the stress.
Can I just add to what Sean said? Because when I talked about who do you think you are, you think you're great, unless a child experiences the parents reinforcing something and instilling it, that's not even there. It's very hard to internalize that self-esteem and self-worth.
Yeah. Self-esteem.
And what I realised, I have a version of it, but also it came even as my spirituality grew. I even felt internally, who am I to experience this growth or this spiritual experiences? And there's still a portion of it there.
And
how did we get past? How can I get past that? Or
it's
as I doubt if I'm alone somehow.
Because you see, if you see the passage as repeated, we repeated it yesterday and today. So Maharaj read it again, and we followed and quoted and chanted it and so on. You see, supposing you take all of that very seriously and understand that and internalize it and absorb it and make that your life, then those issues don't arise. But the other point, of course, is that parents should really lavish, not just parents and employers should lavish praise where praise is due. And there are more praiseworthy things than other things. So we should leave criticism out. The Patanjali Yoga Sutras gives us a beautiful formula about how to steady the mind and concentrate. And be friendly to everybody. That means, and don't criticize anybody. Be content, be friendly to all. Praise those that are praiseworthy, and don't criticize those that are not. And have no opinion based on, whether things are good or bad or what have you, nothing like that. The beautiful formula is set out there. I'm summarizing it basically in English. But a beautiful formula is there for life, for interaction, social interaction. And the basis for that, why should we be friendly to all? Because we have this holistic understanding. There's no difference, separation between you and me. Love thy neighbor as thyself, but what's the basis for it? Because thy neighbor is thyself. So you have to cultivate that attitude constantly. And you see, we're all doing that. The self-education we're going through is to overcome a sense of self-forgetfulness about our true nature. And that requires education. And education requires constant practice, constant study. There's no such thing as spiritual practice. It's steady practice, steady spiritual practice. But we'll talk about that more.
With respect to Brian, you actually used the words "my spirituality," but in a sense, like, that's kind of missing the point. That because you even said it yesterday, spirituality is one. It's only one being.
I see.
Well, my spiritual growth, if anything, it's to see a growth pattern that I experience. When you mentioned holy purpose, can you talk more about holy purpose?
Well, there's a
How do I recognize it?
The first thing that we teach in Vedanta is the logic of it. It makes sense. Through introspection, through this eternal question that Ramana Maharshi asks, who am I, who am I, who am I? We come to a point where we can't go any further. Pure, sheer, introspective logic tells us that there's a final datum that is enduring. It's not going anywhere. It's unchanging, it's infinite, it's undivided, it's not doing anything. It's observing, it's witnessing, it's beaming. And when we talk about aloneness or solitude, you see, in a public place amidst people, it's that knowledge and capacity just to withdraw into a poised position and beam from there. Learn to do that. If you have a problem and you learn to do that, you find everything clarifies. When you open your eyes, as it were, everything now gets sorted somehow. Because you've gone to a blissful base, what we can describe as a blissful base. Of course, there's another kind of loneliness, and that is to do with a poor self-image, psychological loneliness that says, poor me, and I feel isolated, and nobody notices me, and nobody loves me, and therefore I shrink into a corner, and I watch from a secret observing place all the activities, and I feel lonely. There's that kind of thing. That's the other extreme. Well, you can get out of that, you see. The answer to everything is in the spirituality and spiritual life. So if there's an enduring entity in you, then there must be a central purpose to your life to discover that, to entrench it, to realize it. And every activity that you do that acts toward it or steers your attention toward it will be an opening factor, not a closing factor. And the opposite of that is what we call egoism, to say, I am this body, mind, I'm an agent, and I deserve rewards, that kind of thing. And that's where we mislead, because that leads to all kinds of difficulties where we feel that we are in a place of isolation, and we have to either do battle or defend, withdraw. These are the various psychological positions to move toward, or to withdraw, or to yield. To attack, to withdraw, or to yield. These are the three positions taken in a so-called normal way. So there's another position we can take. We can take a position of love. Where does it come from? It comes from a point of this isolation, where we can stand there outside of all that and beam truth and goodness and harmony everywhere. The spirit of generosity we can distribute. That's worthwhile. So we're already on that evolutionary path. We're already unfolding towards it. Evolution means unfolding. It's not taken like that by bioevolutionists. I point out that even Charles Darwin never used that statement, evolution. He uses it in a few places, but in his Origin of Species, he uses descent by modification. Because he knows the danger of using the word unfolding or evolution. It means the root is already there. The seed is already there and unfolds into a tree. And that's not the end of the story. The seed goes on again and makes another tree. There's a whole cycle to it. So he realizes what Swami Vivekananda calls involution is necessary along with evolution. You have to have the two. So understanding logically and in principle through scripture, through self-analysis, through practice, what is my true nature? It's an enduring thing. How do the emotions catch up with it is the next question. How do we entrench that and then live it? That's the tricky bit. This is called spiritual practice.
I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I think there are two things. One thing, you're casting a doubt about yourself, whether you can do it or not. So everybody is potentially divine, that's no fact. Secondly, go through the poem which you wrote. Go through that again. It's a beautiful poem you wrote yourself. So you have a huge potential. Very huge. So that's one thing you can reflect sometime.
See, all of us know the principles of it. That's good on the one hand, but it has no value unless the practice is there, unless we understand that in actuality. And our biggest competitor is our own emotions. So to rally the emotions round is one of the great developments and the great practices in spiritual practice. How to realize it actually. Now, fortunately, every movement toward it has a corresponding counter movement toward us. In religious language, every step toward God creates maybe 100,000 steps toward God. See how Sri Krishna says, wind of God's grace is always blowing, we but have to set our sails. And what I point out when I quote that is, it's not that easy to set your sails. It sounds very easy. But you see, once you set the sails, no matter how much you huff and puff, the boat is not going to move. It's the wind that takes it. That does the lion's share of the work.
You can have a lot of psychological issues and emotional issues that block you from letting that boat move too.
All of them are psychological issues. Yeah. All of them.
So
You see, not necessarily all of them, because physical is also an issue as well. You know, if I have an arthritic knee and sit for meditation, and my attention wanders and so on and so forth, and during the day, did you say, see, Maharaj said you should repeat our mantra continuously and so on. Yeah, well, what did you repeat today? Oh, my arthritic knee. Oh, my arthritic knee. That was your mantra. That's the difficulty. So we have all these diversionary things, these distractions, no doubt. The physical can be a distraction. But our main distractions, of course, are psychological. They're all to do with the mind. And it's the control of the mind is the key thing. And all of these yogas are there to do it.
I found a lot of people are frightened of success. That's back to self-esteem. Self-esteem is everything, but it just means self-knowledge.
Yeah, but there's a pride to it, you see. Look at me. I'm humble.
We're told pride is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it is, because what is pride? Pride is, look at me, physical body, psychological cleverness, this is who I am, and I'm extremely proud of it. I have a self-image that I'm proud of.
Well, that's when we think about, if we take it as a child and we internalize the messages. Success, that's what comes with success. When you succeed, be proud, stand up, receive applause.
It should be an confidence, it's a feeling. It's like you've apathy and depression, you've grief, fear, anger, lust, and you've pride, and then you go into acceptance.
With the idea that the child is God incarnate, from that point of view, you proceed appropriately, using a language that children will understand. And when there is anything praiseworthy there, with this worshipful attitude, you praise. And we don't blame, we correct. We make necessary corrections. You know, even in business, you see, the old style of business management was, you do as I tell you to do. Don't question it. I pay you, you do it. But that kind of style of management with IBM and all that, I imagine, doesn't work anymore. You say, there's no employer-employee, there's a teamwork. And so managers are part of the team, no doubt. But in a team, you have to have somebody who's good at passing and somebody who's good at heading. You have to have all these different skills and talents and abilities. And they all come together and they operate as a team. And to retain a team, what will you do? lavish praise where it's due, and coach for correction where it's required. A non-critical attitude which says, let's coach for improvement. And then in a review, a business review, how it should be done, and it's done now in modern business practices, that people now have the opportunity to review the so-called boss and vice versa. How did I do? See? So, of course, this afternoon we'll evaluate how we did. And so we have earplugs for that. All right. So, and it's the same with yourself. Something done well. There should be an element that says, I use these talents well, and when at the end of the day, when you give your report to the Chief Executive Officer, that is called God, whose business it is anyway, whose energy it is anyway, whose body it is anyway, whose sitting room is the mind, reporting to him and saying, or her, or it, whatever, and say, this is what I did with your investment today. Here's my report. This went well, this didn't go so well, I apologize, tomorrow I'll do better. All in the service of God.
But isn't it too about owning and embodying your gifts and strengths and whatever it is?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to always manage not allowing yourself to become egotistical about it, or am I wonderful? So it's that bit of never feeling just because you have achieved, and that's not the right word, or you are doing good works, that you are more important than anybody else. And that's a constant effort, I think, for humans.
Yeah, but you can shift it by, you see in construction, you may be given a set of tools. You're given a hacksaw, and you're given a, whatever it is, a hammer, yeah. You give a hammer, you can give nails. You can have the sophisticated jigsaws and all the rest of it. You can have all the sophisticated equipment that makes construction so easy today. But there's no pride about it. You won't say, oh, blessed am I have all this, how clever am I? No, these are given to you for a job. These are instruments. If you take the body and mind as instrumental, then your whole attitude will shift. I'm your instrument. See how poets put it beautifully. Bansuri, I am Lord Krishna's flute. I have the privilege of being held to his lips and be played. See how beautiful the poets and songwriters put it.